A special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the Love Is podcast. I'm excited to welcome the host of the Love Is podcast, Kim Sorrelle. Kim, how are you? And I know you're excited about our guest.
I'm doing great. Thank you, Neil. And yes, I'm so excited. Gotham Chopra, you are so talented. I don't know if you were just born talented or how much of it is work and how much of it is just inborn natural talent. I'd love to talk about that. But you've gone from comic books to movies to the A Religion of Sports, which I think is a lot of people's favorite show ever. Now you're doing this with Bon Jovi. You've known a lot of people over the years. You were good friends with one of my favorite people, Michael Jackson, and some other people along the way. And your life is just fun. Like I don't know if you have so much fun doing it as I have reading about it, but I want to welcome you to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, and what a kind introduction. Look, I do have a lot of fun. I'm incredibly lucky. I've also learned from everyone I've worked with, which is, you're only as good as the people you put around you. So, I have the incredible fortune of working with so many talented people around me. And yeah, I mean, we get to do great stuff and learn along the way. So it's a lot of fun.
And it's amazing when you think about where you're at and the work that you put in to get to where you are today. Did you think about that, especially in filmmaking, that you could get to the level that you are known and work with such amazing projects like this one?
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of work, and I've worked historically with tons of amazingly talented elite athletes, and now I've been doing this thing with Bon Jovi for the last 2 years, which is coming out. The sort of thing I see, the common characteristic is how hard they work, like the work ethic and just the grinding. There's a lot of talented people out in the world. The ones who I think get separated and have success is like they just keep going. They just keep pushing. They keep grinding. They don't compromise. When people tell them, "Hey, this is never going to happen," they're the ones that say, "Okay, cool, watch me." And so I've certainly learned from that and tried to apply that to my own life. And like I said, also, especially you see it all the time, team sports, bands. Like you're the front man, and I'm as the filmmaker, as the director, or the co-founder of a company, I get to play that role, but it's about the team you put around you. And yeah, I've definitely tried to apply all of those lessons in my own life.
Wow.
It's so interesting that you talk about the hard work and everybody that I know that is a professional athlete or is at the top of their game and whatever they are, they're the first ones in the gym, they're the last ones there at night or in the studio or wherever they happen to be. And they do just keep going, have this fortitude about them that just keeps going. And while others quit. And it's the winners that just keep going. Like Larry Bird, I'm a huge Larry Bird fan. I think you are too. And uh, I still think he's just such an example of someone who just put in the work, who decided that he was going to be the best that he could possibly be and put in the work. How do you think that mindset happens?
Yeah, Larry Bird's a perfect example. There's always, Larry used to always say, this guy's bigger, stronger, faster, but there's nobody tougher. There's nobody willing to work as hard as I am. Tom Brady, is to this day, in his mind, the 199th pick, the guy who, who dropped in the draft over and over and over again and was going to, prove everyone wrong. I think it's, if there's a God-given gift, if that's it, it's like that unwillingness to compromise. Because, in sports or in music now, again, back to this, Bon Jovi project, there's always people telling you, "Hey, kid, I don't think you got it." Like, there's people out there that are more talented than you. But in what I've seen, with Tom Brady, with Bon Jovi, with Kobe Bryant, with Steph Curry, with Serena Williams, like they outwork everyone. They outwill everyone. And that is the gift. That to
Yeah.
me is, it's more than the voice in John's case or more than the arm in Tom's case. It's the will. And it's something that like comes from inside of you.
I was talking to one of my clients Gotham, who coached Kobe, LeBron, and when we were in the first initial calls talking together, talked about the work ethic they put in. So let's go into John Bon Jovi. Was the work ethic in music versus work ethic in sports? What are the differences?
I would say actually more similarities than differences because so one, you have to take care of yourself. Like you have to be really disciplined. Both in music. If you're the front man, if you're the singer, I mean, you got to protect that voice. That voice is your, is your tool. And so I think it's working out every day. It's being very conscious about your diet, your sleep, your hydration, all these things that again you see in sports. It's just that consistency day after day after day, and really not making mistakes, and slipping up because anybody can be good for a year or two or like an album but you try to do that in John's case over 40 years. I mean, that takes a sort of discipline and commitment that is very, very unique.
I'm so
Oh,
excited to see it. The Thank You, Goodnight, the Bon Jovi Story. I believe it comes out in just a few days, which is so exciting. And uh, yeah, it's very interesting to me too, Gotham, how it's not just about the sports or just about the music or even just about the work ethic, but it's all encompassing. And to me, everything is spiritual. And so it seems to be also just this spiritual journey that you draw out when you meet with people. The way you approach the episodes that you've done, the people that you've worked with, it's entirely different than anything else out there. You draw out of them whole different areas of their life that you never hear about, which I think is so great. And so I'm wondering, where does the spiritual play a role, do you believe, in the whole thing?
Again, thank you for saying all that. Look, my family background, my father is Deepak Chopra. I have, and he is in the world of spirituality, who, was originally a physician, but then probably when I was a teenager, really had first a personal transformation that then became a catalyst for a professional transformation. And over the years, he's written, almost 100 books at this point, and really been at the forefront of like, I guess you would call it the mindfulness movement, meditation, yoga, all that stuff in the West. So I've grown up around that, and I think as when I look back at my childhood, like I was a huge sports fan. I was like, I grew up, you mentioned Larry Bird, like watching that. I grew up in Boston, and seeing the big three play out, and I always sort of, at the time back then, the Red Sox also. I was a huge Red Sox fan. The Red Sox were cursed, but Fenway Park was this cathedral in the middle of the city, and I always used to think like, man, like everything my father sort of talks about and the wisdom traditions of religious and spiritual traditions exists in sports. Like sports is, if you're an athlete, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. If you're a fan, it's sort of becoming part of something, bigger than yourself. And so I just always kind of had a passion for it and saw it, I guess, in a way that was slightly different. Sports to me was more than just about the final score. It was really about being the best version of yourself. And I think that's the thing. When I sort of boil it down now and I look, oh, like, okay, interesting sports now into music, it's really about greatness. What does it take to be the best? And
oh,
I'm fascinated by that and the type of those are the subjects that I kind of try to chase after and then break down.
totally. Kim, so the love question, we only have a couple minutes with Gotham. I wish we had more time, but go ahead with your love question.
Yeah, so Gotham, a few years ago, I decided I was going to figure out the true meaning of love. So I dedicated a year to go after it, this eat, pray, love kind of experience. And most of the time I was in Haiti while I was doing it, which was interesting. And the things that I found out about love just kind of blew my mind. And love to me just changed in my life. And I'm curious, I know you gotta love what you do and love people around you and all of that kind of stuff, but where is love in your life? What role does love play in your life? How do you see it?
What a great question. I've done like tons of interviews for this, and no one has even come close to asking that question. Look, love is at the epicenter of everything. I am in a great situation where I'm passionate about what I do. I've also been married now for 20 plus years, and my wife, I met her when we were college sweethearts, freshman year. But the thing about love that's the same is, like, love's not all easy, and it's like sports. It's like, sports is often about failure and and resilience. How do you pick yourself up? Even the best, we use this analogy all the time, even the best hitters in the history of baseball strike out, 6, 7 times out of 10. And so, I think love's the same thing. If you've been married like I have for 20 plus years, it's not easy. It's about doing the work. It's about showing up. It's about being accountable. It's about being resilient. And, I think, romance is great, but real love happens across time, and it's about commitment and compassion and it's just something you can't take your eye off of. And same thing in my work. But I love it, and that's why I keep still doing it.
Fantastic. Again, available on Hulu, April 26th. Thank you. Good night. The Bon Jovi story. Appreciate it, Gotham. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show on the Love Is podcast, guys. Take care.